શાસનપતિ શ્રવણ ભગવાન મહાવીર સ્વામીને મારા ભાવપૂર્વક વંદન. અસીમ ઉપકારી રાષ્ટ્રસંત પરમ ગુરુદેવ આપ શ્રીના ચરણોમાં મારા ભાવપૂર્વક વંદન. સર્વ ઉપકારી ગુરુ ભગવંતો તથા મહાસતીજીને મારા ભાવપૂર્વક વંદન. We have been studying the 9 tattvas, out of which today we will be taking up the Punya Tattva. The Punya Tattva, that is the virtuous deeds, the good deeds or the merits. Param Gurudev explained to us yesterday that the merits or the virtuous element is either by nature or either one has to be taught. The one who possesses this virtuous element by nature imbibes good values from the very beginning. But the one who is taught these virtuous element needs to inculcate those values. The virtuous element, which is by nature, helps us to go into the good realms of life. But those for whom the virtuous element needs to be taught, maybe they won't end up into the good realms of life. They cannot ascend to the good realms of life. Gurudev explained to us with an example. Megh Kumar, who was an elephant in the previous birth, he possessed those virtual elements by nature. So even in that birth, he took up the initiative that when there was a fire in the jungle, what did he do? He cleared the entire area for all other living beings and even tried to save the smallest creature of a rabbit. But why did this happen? This happened because the virtuous element within him was by nature. But what happens if it is not by nature? When it is not by nature, we cannot take adversity onto ourselves. Whereas for those, when it is by nature, they first think of helping others. They take adversity onto themselves and only then they think of benefiting their own selves. When it is by nature, it is through selflessness and not through selfishness. How can you know that you have this virtuous element within you by nature? How can one know that this Punya Tattva within me is by nature? There are 2-3 checkpoints which we can know that this Punya Tattva within me is by nature. Example, the person wherever goes spreads smiles everywhere. Whenever one goes, they spread smile everywhere. They first think about others. Wherever one goes, people feel happy on one coming onto their lives. And the last point is, they willingly take up all the adversity onto themselves. They take up the entire risk onto themselves, but think of helping others first. These are the checkpoints through which one realizes that this nature within you is by nature. Those having this virtuous element by nature also ends up having a peaceful death, because throughout his life they have been spreading smiles to all. So whenever their death occurs, they have a very peaceful death. But on the contrary, when one doesn't develop it, one doesn't inculcate within, they don't have a peaceful death. They might have a very good life, but your death decides how is your future going to be. So, one should start developing this virtuous element by nature. Many a times, a person who is into this virtuous element may be good from outside, but the intentions need to be pure from within. Maybe a few of them do all these good deeds by helping others, but their inner intention needs to be checked. The inner intention has to be of selflessness. Only then it can become your nature. And lastly, Param Gurudev inspired us to start inculcating ourselves or start involving ourselves into good deeds. He gave us a few examples like start helping every day a hungry who is on the street. Start helping every day by a smile if one cannot help him financially. Start helping others by giving him comfort. Start helping others by giving him a chair. If an elderly comes up, start helping him. These were the few values which one should start inculcating to develop a virtuous element by nature. If we check ourselves that in the entire day, how many good deeds we have been performing, we will realize that there are so many days that at the end of the day we realize we have not involved ourselves into any good deed. So what should we do? We should start developing ourselves, that we should involve ourselves into good deeds from morning itself. In the morning, we should target 10 activities which will help us making our nature stronger and stronger. With this, we should now from today onwards start developing a nature which is of always helping others and developing selflessness. And this will maybe help us speeden up our way onto the path of liberation. This was the Punya Tattva which Param Gurudev enlightened us of yesterday.